Are you concerned about doing bank reconciliation for the very first time? Well, don't worry, because if you follow along with this video, you will be able to do everything perfectly right in the first month. If you have any questions about this topic, you can leave them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to help you. And of course, if you feel the video helped you, I hope you will click like and don't forget to subscribe to get updates on new videos that come out all the time. First, we will check out the bank reconciliation window, and then we'll learn how to navigate around the bank reconciliation window so that we're comfortable with all the parts of bank reconciliation. Then we will do the first month's reconciliation together step by step. So, to open the bank reconciliation window, we click the cog wheel, go across to the column of tools, and go down to where it says Reconcile. Now notice, this is the very first time we're opening the window in this QuickBooks Online account. So we will get this little message here. Now we click Get Started, and it reminds us that we could also use the bank feeds feature that will help you reconcile. But bank feeds is a separate course. Let's just do it the right way. We will click Maybe Later, and here we are at the reconciliation window. Now, we come down and we see what's in the first window that we just clicked on. Well, the first thing we have to do is choose which particular bank type of account or which particular credit card type of account are we reconciling. Remember, you have to reconcile your bank accounts and your credit card accounts in QuickBooks Online. Now, the first thing they ask for is information from the statement. And I'm going to show you the example statement in a moment. But what you would do is you would put the ending balance of the statement for the month that you're reconciling, and you would put the ending date, which is also called the cutoff date. Now, this first window also has fields for you to enter bank service charge and any interest earned. Now, why would QuickBooks separate these two specific bank transactions and have you record them here rather than simply record them during the month? Well, there's a reason. In the days before the computer and the days before online banking, the bookkeeper would not know about these two transactions until after the cutoff date of the bank statement. That's why QuickBooks asks us to enter those two first, to make sure that all transactions are recorded before we start the matching process. Nowadays, with online banking, these two transactions are often recorded before we do bank reconciliation. And that's what we're going to assume in this example. So we're going to skip putting in those two things and assume they have already been entered during the month. So we will leave these blank for now, and we will click Start Reconciling so that we can see what's in the next window. Now, QuickBooks Online will not let us go to the next window until we enter an ending date and an ending balance. Now, we're not reconciling yet. We're just looking at the navigation of the screen. So, for the ending date, we can put January 31 of 2017. If it let us, January 31 of 2017. But for the ending balance, just for now, just to be able to take a look at the next window, just enter 0. And we'll come back and put in the proper ending balance once I show you the statement. But you have to put something in at least these two fields for QuickBooks to allow you to go to the next window. When we click Start Reconciling, we go to the window that we're actually going to be working in. Let's close the help and take a look at what this window looks like. The first thing you probably notice is this little button here that we can click to close down or click to open up. If we click and close it down, you see the information on top is abbreviated. And let's take a look. This difference that you see here is the most important number on the entire screen when you do bank reconciliation. And when you finish, this difference has to be 0. Now I'm going to explain a little bit more about what the difference is, but right next to the difference is an Edit Info button. And you can click Edit Info and you can go back to the previous window and change the ending balance, which we're going to do to make it the actual ending balance. And if you did not properly put the service charge or interest, you have another opportunity right here by clicking Edit Info. Now, when we expand this, you see what the difference really means. The difference shown a moment ago is the difference between your bank statement balance and the cleared balance. And of course, because we have not started the reconciliation process, the difference is showing 0. But when we open this up, you see that this compares the cleared balance to the bank balance. Now, down at the bottom of this section here is the cleared balance. And every time you mark a deposit as cleared, this number will increase. Every time you mark a payment as cleared, this number will increase. And of course, the balance overall changes every time you mark anything as cleared. As you mark things cleared, you will see that the cleared balance will change and get closer and closer to the statement balance. And when they have no difference between them, the difference will say 0, and then you know you will be successful. Also notice that as you click to indicate something is cleared, the numbers up here change. So right now there's 0 difference, but if I tell QuickBooks Online this one cleared by clicking in the little circle, it shows that $3,000 worth of deposits have cleared, and now there's a $3,000 difference. If I click the check mark next to the next one, I'm telling QuickBooks the next one cleared. Now the total deposits that have cleared are $3,680. If I click this one, now $6,680 worth of deposits have cleared. That means the cleared balance is $6,680 at this moment. And since we only put 0 for the statement balance, that's what the difference is at this moment. If we click to remove the check marks, notice both the cleared balance and the difference changes. And you know you are finished when everything is marked off properly and the difference says 0. You may notice down here that you can click Payments and get only the payments, and you can click Deposits and get only the deposits. That's because QuickBooks Online is helping you reconcile by matching it to the way banks present their bank statements. So the bank separates the deposits from the checks right on the statement, and that's to help you reconcile. They give you the totals of each on the statement. If you have a difference after checking and marking everything as cleared, you can isolate the mistake by checking the totals of both the deposits and checks to see which total is different. So, if you're going along and you can't find why there is a difference, click Payments and see if the total payments up here matches the total that's written on the statement. If it does, then you know your mistake must be in the deposit section, and you can isolate the deposits and fix it. Same thing with the deposits. If you're showing only deposits and the deposit total is correct, that means that you have to look at the checks to see checks and payments to see where the mistake is if you still have a difference. Now that's a nice feature, but the feature in this window that gives you the most control is right here, the reconciliation filter. The reconciliation filter controls which transactions you see in the reconciliation window. By default, it shows only unclear transactions before the statement date of the statement you are currently working on. It gives you the ability to totally control the transaction list and get exactly what you are looking for, even if you have thousands of transactions. And you can filter by date, by name, meaning customer, vendor, or other. You can even filter by amount and transaction type. And most importantly, you can filter by cleared status, so you can double check if you're looking for something that was cleared in a previous reconciliation. Let's take a look at how to control the reconciliation filter. So right now it is filtered by showing transactions only before the statement ending date that we put up originally up here. And we can click this little funnel icon to actually open the filter window. Now this thing is great. If you have a difference in a specific amount, you could actually type that amount into that field and then click apply, and you will get only transactions equal to that amount. And notice it's showing you that you filtered by exactly that amount. Click the X to remove the filter and all the other transactions will come back. Click the funnel icon and you can actually choose the transaction type. For example, did we have any sales receipts that we recorded into this account during this month? If we choose sales receipt and we click apply, you can see that these are all deposits that came specifically from sales receipts. So on your own time, you can explore and experiment with the filter window. And the most important filter is the statement ending date. You want to make sure you isolate the transactions that are only on the statement that you're currently working on. So here are the physical steps that we're about to perform. First, you should download the example statement from the link in the description. The example statement is in Excel, and the first month has very few transactions, and it should be very clear what you're looking at when you open the example statement. Then, we'll highlight the transaction that we're examining one by one, and we will highlight it on the statement in Excel, but we will not change the color until we check it and indicate that it's cleared in QuickBooks Online. When you see it in QuickBooks Online, click on it. Then color the highlighted one in the statement. In other words, highlight in the statement but don't change the color. Find it in QuickBooks Online and check on it. Then go back to the statement and change the color so we know both transactions are in both places. Now, when you observe the cleared balance changing, the difference will get closer and closer to zero after each transaction that you click. Only at the moment that you cross off the last one on the statement, the difference should become zero. So the last crossed off transaction on the statement is the crucial moment in QuickBooks Online. Anything in QuickBooks Online that's not checked at the moment you cross off the last one on the statement will simply clear in the next bank statement. So when you're finished, everything should be crossed off the statement, but not everything should be crossed off in QuickBooks Online. Let's take a look at how to do it. Now here we are in the reconciliation window of QuickBooks Online. This is the example bank statement that was given in the description, and you can download it and open it up and follow along step by step. I made the example bank statement in Excel so that each transaction that cleared in QuickBooks Online can be easily marked off the bank statement so we can tell that we're doing it right. You may also notice that some of the dates for these same transactions that are in both places are a little bit different in the statement than they are in QuickBooks Online for the very same transactions. And that's simply because the bookkeeper who records transactions in QuickBooks Online will usually know about the transaction before the bank will. And we will usually record it in our QuickBooks Online records before it clears the bank. Remember, we recorded the transactions at the moment we knew about it. The bank recorded the transactions at the moment it cleared the bank. That's why we never go by the date. We go by the money amount for the specific transaction that we're supposed to match. Now, the first thing we have to do is enter the ending balance into the proper field. So we go back to QuickBooks Online and click Edit Info, and we're going to put the ending balance from the statement. I don't think it takes the $ character. But look what happens at the moment we save the ending balance. The difference is equal to the ending balance simply because we have not marked anything as cleared yet. But you will see, as we mark off, the difference will get closer and closer to 0. Now here's the procedure. Highlight the one that you're going to look for in QuickBooks Online. Do not change the color until you have confirmed that it is in QuickBooks Online. Then go to your QuickBooks Online and click the check mark next to that very same transaction. Notice the difference and the cleared balance also changes. But now that we've acknowledged that it's cleared in QuickBooks Online, now we go back to the statement and change the color of the one that we know is in both places. Again, only highlight for the one that we're looking for. Then go and look for it in QuickBooks Online. When you find it in QuickBooks Online, click on it, and to confirm that it matches, go back to Excel and change the color. That's how we know we're finished with that one. Next one, same thing. Highlight, then look for it in QuickBooks Online, click it in QuickBooks Online, and then if you know it's in QuickBooks Online, change the color to confirm that it is the same in both places. Betty has 2 transactions for $1,400 each, but let's still do them one at a time. Highlight, look for it in QuickBooks Online, click it in QuickBooks Online, then come back and confirm it's in the same place by marking it in blue. We have one for $5,400 that we're now looking for, and we have, to change it to blue, we have one for $240 that we're looking for, found it, so come back and mark it in blue. Now look very carefully at the last 2. The difference in the cleared balance should be equal to the 2 remaining ones on the statement. Not what's remaining in QuickBooks Online, what's remaining in the statement. So QuickBooks Online has 4 transactions remaining. However, we only have 2 left on the statement. That's because these 2 did not clear, and they will show up in the next month. But look carefully. When we mark off the second to last one, the $4,800, aha! The difference is now equal to the only one that remains. And again, remember the rule. Only at the moment you cross off the last one from the statement should the difference become 0. So, is that true? We are looking for this last one for $1,000. And at the moment we click the last one that's on the statement, the difference becomes 0. So now when you finish, everything is marked off the statement but not everything is marked off in QuickBooks Online. And as we mentioned before, anything not checked is simply uncleared and will clear on the next bank statement. So this is what a successful reconciliation looks like when you're finished. If you click Finish Now, it gives you the option of viewing the reports. And you should view the reports because the reconciliation reports are very important. It is very important that you get comfortable with the reconciliation reports. There's one report for each statement that is reconciled, and it gets saved permanently in your QuickBooks Online account. It shows all the transactions in QuickBooks Online from that QuickBooks Online account at the moment that you reconciled. It shows them in the categories that will help you find differences and will help you with future reconciliations. It breaks everything down between cleared and uncleared transactions, both before the reconciliation date and after. So let's take a look at this report and see if it helps us. Well, the top part is a summary. It has the statement beginning balance, all the checks that did clear, all the deposits that did clear, and the statement ending balance. So you can examine which part that you might have had a problem with. Now, it's very important that it talks about uncleared transactions before the statement date and uncleared transactions after the statement date. And of course, clear transactions before and the registered balance. So each of these summary numbers has a breakdown and a detail lower in the report. For example, if you want all of the deposits that's cleared that equals this $20,000, you can look at this section here. If you want to look at anything that was uncleared before the statement date, you look at this section here. Anything listed here was on the reconciliation in the window but not cleared. Anything uncleared after the payment date is basically the rest of the transactions in QuickBooks Online. And the reason we have a lot of them is because in our little course, we recorded 5 months worth of transactions and went back and started reconciling in January. And that explains why all of the numbers in your QuickBooks Online will be in every report for every bank reconciliation, and it will reflect the transactions at the moment that you reconciled, whether they were cleared or not.